Hello, welcome to the channel. I'm David Jones. It's another trading update from me. Trades I've got running, what's been happening over the last week. One trade that was very frustrating. It's often the trades I think that you miss out on that hurt the most, that end up being the big trades, and you thought, if only I'd have done that trade. So there's one of those today. So we're going to look at the NASDAQ, the dollar index, and US Treasury bonds. That's it. Let's get into it. So I'm going to talk about a couple of trades today. The T-bond trade I'm in, US Treasuries, one in profit, one in loss as usual, and the dollar index trades that I'm in as well, because I think that's really interesting. But before I do that, let me just explain some of my frustrations over the last week. I'd had a good few weeks trading after that initial sell-off beginning of August, but I found markets perhaps, I don't know, a bit choppy for my approach. And one of the bigger frustrations was this NASDAQ trade I did on Thursday of last week. So maybe I was talking about it in last week's update, but it was textbook trade. So the trend had been down on the NASDAQ since the 22nd of August, the previous Thursday. So we're down, lower highs, lower lows, with that big sell-off on Wednesday. Then the market claws back a load in the overnight trade, rallies up to here, and I sold it. I think just below 19,550 with a stop. I think it was probably 19,700, something like that. Maybe a bit higher, maybe 19,750. It's a volatile market. I'm quite happy to have a couple of 100-point stops. So I was short the NASDAQ, and it went sideways for a good few hours. And I'd been out for a walk. I was out for a walk around about 7 p.m. Last Thursday. Came back and thought, this is fantastic, this move in the NASDAQ. I'm a couple of 100 points in profit on this. After thinking, oh, is it going to blast through? I ended up being in profit. Moved my stop loss down to a trailing stop. And then got stopped out for a profit the next day, but only a profit of about 100 points in the end. So I was short going with the trend. I thought perhaps this is the start of a bigger swing down, but the market rallied. And what I should have done is done the same trade again. When was that? That was on Monday. I mean, the market was closed on Monday, even though the overnight market was trading. But let's say Tuesday, I should have sold it again. That 19,550 area. Shoulda, coulda, woulda, and all that, but I didn't do it. And bang! Of course, that was the big sell-off in the Nasdaq, and that's where we are now. So that would have been, if this was a really good barrier, 19,635 for the Nasdaq. You can see it: 27th of August, 28th of August, 29th of August, 2nd of September, and then gets near it on Tuesday of this week, and then finally falls off a cliff. So that would have been a good trade. Unfortunately, I wasn't in it, and I was a little bit early. Anyway, let's talk about trades that I am in. So I'm in this dollar index trade. I think it's quite interesting, this move in the dollar index. I do like watching the dollar index because it's a market. It's the dollar against a basket of other currencies, and we've seen this dollar index. Let's have a look on the dailies. It's been pretty sideways for the last year or so. Sideways in a big range, from just below 100 up to sort of 107. So what's that? 7% swing for the dollar index, 700 points or so. And the market, had been sliding, as we can see, since June. And we had the bounce. We had the bounce over the last few days, last week or so. And I was waiting to go short. So we had the market rallying. It was pretty strong. Up again on Tuesday and finally stalled today, and we've had this big sell-off since. I'm short into the sell-off, so I didn't get short up here. So for me, I think it's about perhaps break even or something at the moment. Let's see what happens, but I think it's an interesting trade because I'm trying to go with that trend. So I don't really do targets, but in terms of where do I think it's going to go short term, I'm looking for a move back to these lows, so about at least 70 points lower than where we are now, if not lower still. Hopefully for my short, it can break the lows and we'll see the market sell off. We'll see what happens. The only fly in the ointment for that is that it's big support down here, so there's absolutely an argument for either going long or going short the dollar index, because we're back to levels that at the end of December last year this is where the dollar turned around. You can see we've traded there this week. Are we going to see the same thing happen again? I don't know. But for now, I'm sure I've got a stop above the recent highs. Let's see what happens with that. But I think the dollar index is a really interesting one to watch at the moment. The other trade I'm in is this US Treasury bond trade. I've been in that a while. It's sort of flip-flopped around from profit to loss. Let's take a look. Take a look at the reasons why, and why, for now at least, I'm still happy to run it. And I think there could be more to come. A quick commercial break. If you've watched the channel for a while, you know I do a few other things. I run a trading course that's been running for a few years now. It's got 5-star Trustpilot reviews. I also run a WhatsApp group that I update a couple of times a day with trades I'm doing, markets I'm watching, a bit like this, but every day, twice a day, answering any questions, a bit of mentoring, all of that. To find out and to join the WhatsApp group, if you go to the website, davidjonestrading.co.uk, put in the code YouTube on the subscriptions page, you can get 20% off the first month of the WhatsApp group. So you can try it out and see what you think. Most people stay for much longer than a month, so they find it useful. Yeah, have a look and see what you think. I'm doing a webinar next Thursday at 7 o'clock in the evening, UK time, on my day trading approach. That's for people in the WhatsApp group. So if you're in the WhatsApp group, you'll get access to that. So that's a week tomorrow at the time of recording. But all the information on the website. That's the commercial break out the way. Let's jump back into it. So here's the daily chart on T-bonds. Let's just tidy up some of these lines. And you can see, you know, the bond market, the US bond market, has been sliding since COVID, since March 2020. You know, we've had this downtrend, and I think bond markets are really interesting. I think plenty of private investors, private retail traders, in my experience, don't have that much interest in bonds, but they're really interesting markets. You know, same as other markets, they go up, they go down, they go sideways. And what's interesting at the moment, you know, we are bang on that downtrend. I'm long, actually. So looking at that big trend, that's the wrong position to be in. But the reasons for the trade, I'll talk about in a second. But the big trend, you know, we're right on that downtrend. So it really is bounce or bust time. So if you wanted to go short UST bonds, this is like the perfect area to go short. Anyway, the reason I'm long, we have had something of a recovery that's been chugging along for about 4 months now. Okay, so I'm in the trade. And it's probably the second trade I've done in T-bonds in the last few weeks or so. And the reason I'm in the trade, I mean, it just depends on, you know, where you pick the trend up from. We've got a trend from down there from May. I think I was in because of a sharper trend from here, from the end of July. So I bought in, let me just check and I'll tell you when I bought. So I bought on the 29th of August. So even though it had fallen out of that trend, I thought, are we going to see these old lows hold? So the levels I was looking at, these sort of lows back here, or let's say there. So lows from on the way up, around about 122.17. And I bought in on the 29th, after this sell-off. Let's step it in. So I had a bit of a blip the next day, but then it went down. It has threatened those lows, and it has turned around with some of the turmoil we've seen. Over the last 24 hours, it has turned around. So I still quite like the trade down here. I think it's really interesting. You know, clearly, you know, bonds are a reflection of the interest rate expectations, the health of the country that issues them, all of those sort of things. So they're always a really interesting market. So for now, I'm happy to stick with the trade. If I wasn't in, I'd probably rather buy a dip. I wouldn't want to jump in and just maybe buy it blindly now. This is the level where I'm moving my stop. So the market's got to get to 126 for me to move my stop on that trade. So a bit more strength over the next couple of days would be good. But it's an interesting trade that absolutely did not go my way straight away. You know, it's taken a bit of time, but it has eventually gone the right way so far, but still not quite enough for me to move the stop loss. So a couple of trades there, you know, one winner so far, one open winner, one losing trade as well so far. I've still got that pound against the dollar trade in I talked about last week. So not quite as an exciting week as the last couple of weeks have been, but let's see what happens. And we'll take a look as usual in these markets in the live stream on Friday. If you want to get an update of the trades I'm doing throughout the day and what I think about markets, you can join the WhatsApp group. Use the code YouTube to join the WhatsApp group. The link for all of that is in the description. But interesting to see how the rest of this week ends, you know, particularly given what's been going on with stock markets. It's Wednesday and the US market's been open for about an hour and a half. We are seeing something of a bounce back. Will this rally get sold into? I'd be tempted to sell the rally on US indices this afternoon. Let's see what happens. But for now, we'll wrap it up there. So that's it. We'll see what happens. We'll see if what happens with this dollar. Dollar index is, I think, perhaps the most interesting one at the moment for me. Do we see it go back and have a look at the lows for the year? I don't know. See what happens with that T-bond trade. Is it going to rally enough so I can move the stop? Do we see US stock markets bounce back? Will I remember to go short this time if the NASDAQ nudges towards that big level? Let's see what happens. We'll have a look at in the live update this Friday. So if you're not subscribed, make sure you're subscribed. It normally goes live just as the US markets are opening in the afternoon, 2:30 UK time, 9:30 in the morning, US time, New York time. And to find out about the WhatsApp group, to join that and get access to that trading webinar I'm running next week, just go to the website and use the code YouTube to subscribe. And that's it. Any questions, you can always drop me an email. My email address is dj@davidjonestrading.co.uk. But until the next time, we'll leave it there. So in the meantime, good luck with your trading.